noch bis zum vorletzten Heimspiel dieser Saison und wir begrüßen die Unparteiischen der heutigen Partie. Geleitet wird das Spiel von Schiedsrichterin Levke Scholz. Hier assistieren Sabrina Sickel und Marina Bachmeier an den Seitenlinien. Die vierte Offizielle ist Naimi Breyer. Und damit kommen wir zur Aufstellung unserer Gäste. Mit der 25 im Tor Lourdes Romero. Die Kapitänin heißt Luisa Gutenberger. Mit der 7 Leia Barley. Mit der 8 Meret Günster. Die 15 trägt Emilke Papay. Die 18 heißt Franziska May. Mit der 19 Sanja Hohmann. Die 22 Julia Pollack. Die 24 Nastasia Lein. Mit der 27 Beatrix Fördesch und die 28 Mail Seguin. Auf der Bank nehmen zunächst Platz fürs Tor die 21 Abigail Chavez mit der 2 Clara Svensson. Geschwinska, die 23 Anita Polaslova. Trainiert wird in Nürnberg von Isabel Bauer. Und jetzt Balkenschals nach oben. Ein vorletztes Mal in dieser Spielzeit. Hier kommt unsere Hymne, der Polizeikorps Frankfurt mit Im Herzen von Europa.
Im Herzen von Europa liegt mein Frankfurt am Main. Die Bundesliga gibt sich jeden Tag noch ein ständig ein. Hier gibt es eine Eintracht, die spielt Fußball ganz famos. Man denkt sich nicht nur an meine Stadt, nein auf der ganzen Welt. Und wenn sie gewinnt im Waldstadion, dann ist die Stimmung groß. Eintracht vom Main, nur du sollst heute siegen. Eintracht vom Main, weil wir dich alle lieben. Schieß noch ein Tor, den Gegner in den Kasten rein. Jeder wird sagen, ohne zu fragen, in dieser schönen Stadt am Main. Eintracht aus Frankfurt, du schaffst es wieder, deutscher Meister zu sein. Der eine liebt sein Mädchen und der andere liebt den Sport. Wir schwören auf die Eintracht, auf den unser Ehrenwort. Für sie der Weg mal fort von hier in andere Stadien rein. Wir sind in Gedanken immer bei dir, wie wird das anders sein? Begleiten wird sie unseren Chor und stimmen all den ein. Eintracht vom Main, nur du sollst heute siegen. Eintracht vom Main, weil wir dich alle lieben. Schieß noch ein Tor, den Gegner in den Kasten rein. Jeder wird sagen, ohne zu fragen, in dieser schönen Stadt am Main. Eintracht aus Frankfurt, du schaffst es wieder, deutscher Meister zu sein.
Mit euch im Rücken nach Europa. Hier ist die Mannschaftsaufstellung von Eintracht Frankfurt. Mit der 12 im Tor, Lina. Unsere Kapitänin Unsere 13, Amanda. Die 14 heißt Geraldine. Unsere Nummer 19, Nicole. Die 22 trägt Nadine. Mit der 23 Sarah. Unsere 27 Emilita. Und mit der 28 Rebecca.
Contrasting agendas for two sides in contrasting form. We're closing the curtain on Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga Matchday 24 in Germany's financial capital, with a clash of European dreams and relegation fears. Eintracht Frankfurt want to take a huge step to securing third place and with it Champions League qualification. 1.FC Nurmberg, meanwhile, can secure top-flight survival for the first time in club history tonight. But to do so, they'll need to take all 3 points. Both sides have fate in their own hands at the end of the 25-26 season, but their form couldn't be in starker contrast. While Frankfurt have been flying in the second half of the season, Nuremberg have been falling. The question is whether the visitors can throw the form book out of the window in their first game under new interim head coach Isabel Bauer. James Thorogood, your match commentator, extending the warmest of welcomes to the Stadion am Brentano-Bad. Time is running out in the 25-26 season and the dominoes are starting to fall with finality. Bayern München wrapped up the title almost a fortnight ago, while this weekend rock-bottom Karl-Zeiss Jena's relegation fate was sealed. For Frankfurt, were it not for some patchy form in the first half of the campaign, second place might have been up for grabs. But unless Wolfsburg do them some big favours, the Seagulls look likely to finish in third for a 5th straight season. Nuremberg, meanwhile, still in jeopardy after that 1-0 loss to Hamburg last time out. For now, a look at the lineups as Frankfurt head coach Nico Arnautis keeps faith with the side that started their statement victory against Wolfsburg last time out. Nadine Riesen scored the first goal of her Seagulls' career, while the others came from more expected sources in the form of Eriletta Mehmeti and Nicole Anyomi. Laura Freigang missed out against the Wolves through illness, but is back on the bench tonight. Levke Schultz keeping things under wraps here in Frankfurt tonight. Certainly promises to be an intense encounter. As for the visitors lineup, interim head coach Isabel Bauer has decided not to rock the boat too much with a Nuremberg squad that is still hard hit by injuries. Influential midfielder Laura Miller misses out through suspension and is replaced by Mele Seguin. Elsewhere, Aneta Polaskova makes way for Merit Gunster on the left wing. And up front, the preferred pairing of Emilka Papai and Natasha Line, who scored a hat-trick in the reverse fixture, won 5-3 by Nuremberg. It was arguably one of the biggest upsets of the season, up there with Karl-Zeiss Jena holding Bayern to a 0-0 draw in Munich. Nico Arnautis and company might have a little bit of revenge on the mind as a result. There is the new woman in charge, Isabel Bauer, former Nuremberg player, and does have a history with Frankfurt herself, having been on the books with the 1.FC Frankfurt reserves, where her head coach at one point was a certain Nico Arnautis. Now the 27-year-old testing her head coaching chops on the sidelines in an interim role. And the question is, can she prevent Nuremberg from getting sucked back into the relegation battle. It's European dreams against relegation fears. Contrasting agendas for two sides in contrasting form. Frankfurt out to take another big step towards finishing third. Nuremberg with the chance to take a big step off the dance floor with demotion. James Thorogood, your match commentator. Delighted to have the pleasure of your company as we close the curtain on the weekend's action. There is a lingering fixture from Matchday 24 that will be played on Wednesday when Bayern München take on Hoffenheim. Of course, Bayern in action in the Women's Champions League. A bitter end in the semi-finals, but a pretty impressive showing against a Barcelona side that beat them 7-1 earlier this season, and they showed a real fight, and maybe on another occasion with different decisions from the refereeing department, the result might have gone a different way. But it's the Champions League that Frankfurt wants to feature in again next season. They have made a habit of finishing third behind the dominant duopoly of Wolfsburg and Bayern, or Bayern and Wolfsburg, whichever way round they've been in the last 5 years. They have once qualified for the Champions League group stages 2 seasons ago. They missed out in the current campaign when they lost in the playoff round against Real Madrid. Aside from the Spanish capital, went on to be quarter-finalists. For Frankfurt, their European journey then continued in the inaugural season of the UEFA Women's Europa Cup. They made it to the semi-finals, but fell short against the eventual winners, BK Häcken. Isabel Bauer called for her side to build their confidence back up and find a little bit more security in their game. Highlighted the fact that Frankfurt are one of the best teams in the Frauen Bundesliga, but felt that her side could play with a little bit more freedom in the role of the underdog tonight. A victory for Frankfurt wouldn't be enough to guarantee them a top 3 finish. It wouldn't be far off. They would move 5 points clear of Leverkusen with 6 left to play for. Hoffenheim could, in theory, close the gap on Frankfurt on Wednesday in Munich against Bayern. Back to just 4 points. But even then, the realistic proposition is that Frankfurt, the favourites to finish in 3rd place, will hold on to that particular position. And their status as Champions League qualifiers could be confirmed next weekend. Nuremberg, they do have the chance tonight. A draw is not enough to guarantee them safety, but a win would be. To do that, they'll have to upset the odds once again against Eintracht Frankfurt, having done so earlier this season in that epic 5-3 win. And that free kick, it's a real letdown, but Amanda Illerstedt almost made it more dangerous than it needed to be. Lisanne Greve winning the ball back in midfield. Strong reports in Germany that she is going to move on in the summer. Clubs in England are interested in her services, but by all accounts, Union Berlin might be the favourites to secure her signature. In the second half of the season, the Rückrunde, as they call it here in Germany, Frankfurt have the second best record, second only to the champions, Bayern München. Nuremberg, in contrast, have the worst. Anyomi skips past the challenge, feeds the run of Reuteler. Blomqvist waits in the middle, and arriving is Greve. And in the end, Nuremberg survived the first real scare of the game. How much ball, how much woman was in this challenge to deny Lisanne Greve the chance? Well, there was no ball, but I don't really think there was enough woman in it either. Risky to overcommit in that situation, though, for the Nuremberg defenders. Yes, they've got to leave it all on the line in the hopes that they can pick up any share of the spoils, which would be precious points indeed for them. Mehmeti's free kick, Anyomi closest to it, but it goes too long. Those two were two of the goal scorers for the She-Gulls in that 3-1 win against Wolfsburg. Technically kept the race for second place alive, but again, like Frankfurt are the favourites to finish third, Wolfsburg were always going to be the favourites to finish second, despite that defeat. That being said, Leipzig almost did Frankfurt an almighty favour. They were 1-0 up at half-time against the She-Wolves. Ended up losing 3-2 in the end. Isabel Bauer, just 27 years old. She was asked before the game what she'd be like on the sidelines. She said, well, ultimately, I don't really know because it's my first experience. Blomqvist, lovely ball. Oh, Reuteler was onto it. Second chance opportunity doesn't emerge. Papai needed to get a foot on the ball there. Line can't do so against Dawson. Header one. Now Nuremberg can find a bit of space out wide. Nastasia Line, top goal scorer this season, with 10 goals to her name. As 3 of those 10 have been scored since the turn of the year. And 3 of the 10 were scored against Frankfurt in the reverse fixture. It was one of those results that Frankfurt will look back on at the end of this season with a tinge of regret. They had avoided defeats like the one to Nuremberg, or even the 3 on the road they started the season with against Hoffenheim, Leverkusen and Freiburg. Those defeats really are the difference between them finishing third, like they're on course to do, or potentially having finally cracked that duopoly at the top of the Frauen-Bundesliga standings. Of course, they were juggling European competition, the added burden on their fixture list. But this is a side with the aspirations of featuring in Europe regularly, and they need to become accustomed to coping with midweek matches trips to a variety of different countries around Europe. That's what the Champions League will demand of them as well. It was a very disappointing performance in the first leg of their semi-final against Hecken here that let them down, but Anyomi gets the early goal against Nuremberg. While they didn't hit the heights they wanted to in Europe this season, Frankfurt are fashioning another crack at it in the coming campaign. _12th goal of the season for Nicole Anyomi. She opened the scoring against Wolfsburg. She opens the scoring against Nuremberg. A tidy finish on the 10-minute mark.
Nürnberg getroffen hat unsere Nummer 19, Nicole.
She is now only 3 off the top goal scorer this season. Lina Cerci, Pernilla Harder, both with 15 to their name. Fudala's on 14, Mühlhaus is on 13, and now Anyomi joins Köln's Sandra Maria Jessen and Wolfsburg's Alex Popp on 12. That's a lovely bit of play between Blomqvist and Reuteler. Blomqvist can't thread it through to Mehmeti. Recycles it now to Elisa Zenz. Greve. Oh! Well, it hasn't been given. There's a hint of a handball in the aftermath. I'd be confident that some of the ball crossed the line, but I can't be fully confident that all of it did. But there, Lisanne Greve denied what would have been one of the goals of the weekend on match day 24 in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Let's take a look at, did this ball cross the line? Lovely skill to evade the block, and I might even have to correct myself, none of the ball crossed the line. The angle working in Nuremberg's favour there. Lovely attempt though from Greve. Now the pass there from Riesen was loose. Line. Unable to control a ball that was really pinged at her by Papai. Nico Nautis happy with what he's seeing from his side so far because they have immediately established control on the game. Nuremberg would have wanted to make it a little bit wild if they could have. And, well, there you go. A chance. Papai is on the run. Papai goes for goal from long range, and I felt like there was a lot more on offer there for Nuremberg. And in the end, that feels rather wasteful from Imoka Papai. First shot of the game for the visitors, but with Line making a nice run to her right. It would have been wise to perhaps try and pick her out. Now she's getting involved in the game. Isabel Bauer. Wants more from her side. And she did admit that even though her team are the underdog, battle fully, because right now Nuremberg have a 4-point lead over the only all-women's team left in Germany's top flight. Sandwiched between the two are Hamburg. But that direct head-to-head, Nuremberg win it, safety guaranteed. Lose it, and all of a sudden the final day of the season becomes very precarious, especially when you consider the fact that Nuremberg are away from home against Wolfsburg. And that will be an afternoon of high emotion, because it will be the official send-off, whether she's fit enough to feature in the game or not, for Alex Popp. The end of an era in the Autostadt. And as a result, you've got to think that Wolfsburg will be intent on sending her off with a victory and won't be keen to do Nuremberg any favors. By contrast, Hamburg are away from home against Köln next weekend, and Köln have now long secured their safety, were never really involved in the relegation battle and had that highlight win last weekend, or excuse me, this weekend, against Werder Bremen in front of a packed-out Rhein-Energie-Stadion. And that's it on the final date. Nuremberg are away from home against Wolfsburg. Hamburg at home to Bayern. But Essen are at home to Freiburg. So Essen, actually, despite the precarious position they're in, have the easiest run-in. Blomqvist cross, it's over Mehmeti. Anyomi can't turn provider. Now, the opening goal will only feed into Frankfurt's game plan here, where they will want to be the dominant side, won't want to run any unnecessary risks. Oh, loose. Blomqvist was almost onto it in a flash, but in the end, Lord Romero did well. Some big names in attendance. Markus Krösche, Nia Kunze. Of course, Katharina Kiel as well. She is the woman who is now the acting president of the Frauen-Bundesliga and heading up the future ventures. Gave an interview with Kicker recently, as Lena Altenburg almost gets herself into a world of trouble there with the press from Nastasia Line. But Katharina Kiel talking about what the future might hold for the Frauen-Bundesliga, talking of an investment of 700 to 800 million euros in the league. The Frauen-Bundesliga have noticed the rise in popularity, and now they want to feed into it as well. Oh, Romero unable to collect, but gets away with it. It's not just the rise in popularity for the Frauen-Bundesliga as well. You look at the standard of play, you look at the way the league has developed, you look at the investments being made behind the scenes by big clubs that aren't even in the Frauen-Bundesliga yet, haven't even made it to the top tier. I'm talking about the likes of Schalke, Dortmund are the ones that quickly spring to mind. And it was Nuremberg sporting director Osman Cankaya that was talking about the threat of bigger clubs and saying that Nuremberg are well aware of their standing in the footballing pyramid. They know they are not financial powerhouses and will struggle to match the financial power of some of those other big hitters. And that's why the next couple of years for Nuremberg are so important if they can establish themselves in the top flight. But their form in the first half of the season, where they picked up 15 points, suggested that they had really come on leaps and bounds from their last appearance in the Frauen-Bundesliga, which again resulted in immediate relegation. And that was in the 23-24 campaign when they finished 11th on 12 points. In this season, 11th on 19. But of course, 11th is not a spot in the relegation zone anymore after the expansion to 14 teams this season. The difficulty for Nuremberg is their form in the second half of the season screams relegation. 4 points from the ability to have heard buzzwords in interviews leading up to this game, highlighting them as the priority. But Nuremberg, at least, even if they've got a tough run-in, do have fate in their own hands. Not tonight, but in that game against Essen. That really is the one they have to win in their final three. But today, even if they do end up on the losing side, they need to build confidence, momentum. Maybe strike a bit of fear into any of the Essen players that are tuning in. And some of them might be, given the fact that Nuremberg are one of only two teams that they can catch. And if Nuremberg were to win tonight, it would be down to just one. Ball breaks for Elisa Zenz, another Frankfurt midfielder that has been linked with a move away from the club. That might be the biggest test of this Frankfurt project in the summer, as to whether they can hold on to some of their biggest pieces. They had a bit of a yard sale in the summer that did include Zara Dawson, who just spread that pass out wide. She ended up returning after only a couple of months in the United States. Valuable defensive reinforcements for Frankfurt, and she is probably one of the key components in their uptick in form since the turn of the year. There has been one massive piece of transfer news involving Frankfurt, though, and it's not about a player leaving the club, it is about a player joining. Larissa Mühlhaus. Oh, lovely play by Papai. Pokes it through, and the chance for Nuremberg! They've levelled the scores! Meret Gunster! A bolt from the blue for the visitors. Frankfurt are taking the lead. They've been in complete control of this game. But there is a debut goal for interim head coach Isabel Bauer, who will be delighted with the tenacity her side showed there, especially Emoka Papai. Had the beating of, what, 3-4 Frankfurt players, had them all on strings, and then a lovely little pass to Gunster, who had to take the shot first time. Well, when you get your chances on a night like tonight, you have to take them. And Nuremberg give their smattering of travelling fans that have made their way up from the north of Bavaria something to cheer about. A reminder that a draw would not be enough for Nuremberg to secure their safety tonight, but it would go a long way to injecting some positivity into a team that have been bereft of it recently. 4 straight losses coming into this game. 7 losses in their last 8, the outlier being their sole win of 2026, which came against rock bottom Karsai Siena. And that is a goal, you can tell, has toned down the atmosphere at the Stadion am Brentano Bad. A bit of a shock to the system for the home side, who, after taking the lead through Nicole Anyomi, probably thought they were just going to go from strength to strength to strength. But Nuremberg bite back. Gunster losing out in midfield there. Well, Isabel Bauer will be very pleased with the manner in which her side are taking the fight to Frankfurt, but you can tell she is certainly fully invested in the game. Her playing career ultimately blighted by injuries. That's why it was cut short at such an early age. Now has turned her talents to coaching. She only ever made 1 senior appearance for the Nuremberg side. Must be a very different feeling to being on the sidelines as opposed to out on the pitch. What doesn't change are the emotions. She wanted her side to build a little confidence, and simply scoring against Frankfurt will do that for a team like Nuremberg. After the blanks they drew in their most recent losses against Bayern and then Hamburg in that relegation 6-pointer. Arguably that was the first match ball for Nuremberg when it came to securing survival. They didn't manage to take it, but they do have another. Good defending by Franziska Mai, just to marshal the ball out of play with Arieletta Mehmeti breathing down her neck. Second only to Nastasia Line, the striker in terms of all-time appearances for Nuremberg, Franziska Mai. Today moving on to 182, Nastasia Line 193. That big milestone of 200 fast approaching. Riesen points to where she wanted the ball, but Reuteler didn't think that the pass was on. More movement wanted from Nico Arnautis. Show. Ultimately, he wants options for whoever's on the ball in red and black, and then he wants them to win the second ball when a pass like that goes astray. Zenz, bit of a loose first touch, but Greve and Mehmeti make sure that Frankfurt stay on the ball. Greve wins it back again. She's having a very good game in the Frankfurt engine room. Anyomi, good composure to find Riese, now with Reuteler. Geraldine Reuteler. Back to Dawson. Flipping it forward and headed on goal! Kept out by Lord Romero. That is now twice that Frankfurt have gone within a matter of inches of seeing a ball cross the line. But a combination here of the crossbar and the Nuremberg goalkeeper keeping that out. But no, if anything, it's more keeper than crossbar. And Romero needs to take a bit of credit for a stunning save there. Looped up so awkwardly off the head of Elise Zenz, and it was ready to dip under the bar and leave Romero red-faced. She was having none of it, though. Greve. A couple of players to pick out. Put behind for a corner by Leah Varley. And Nico Anautis is seeing his side fashion the chances, but the rub of the green has not gone their way so far. Corner taken short. Varley with the header clear. Well won by Nuremberg, and is there a counter-attacking opportunity here? Line was the only willing runner. The pass gave her nothing to work with. Oh, Reuteler. There was space in behind to exploit, but Romero was privy to the danger. Good old wrestling match there between Nina Lursen and Sanja Hormann. Oh, it breaks for Papai. Looking for line. Fired in, but blocked by Gutenberger. And Nuremberg, all of a sudden you feel like they sense opportunity here at the Stadion am Brentano Bad. It's Nina Lursen who stayed down here, the left back. Oh, yeah. Full swing into the shin pad of Hormann. And that will rattle the foot for certain. Here the goal again, the equaliser, scored by Gunster. Look at what it means to the Nuremberg bench. They have not had a lot to cheer about. It has been a decidedly downward spiral that they've been stuck in of late. And that's why that goal will feel like a gift from the football gods. Nina Lursen is back up on her feet and able to put weight on that foot, which is a good sign. Just under 10 minutes of time remaining in this first half. Frankfurt would love to restore their lead before the break, and Blomqvist with the chance now. Anyomi, Mehmeti flashes the shot wide. Tried to squeeze it between two Nuremberg players. It certainly wouldn't have been as strange to assume that Frankfurt would push on after breaking the deadlock, a bit like they did against Wolfsburg. But if anything, Nuremberg have shown more fight back than Wolfsburg did last time out against the She-Gulls. At the same time, this is a decidedly different performance from Nuremberg than we saw against Hamburg in that 1-0 loss last weekend. There was nothing there, according to Nico Arnautis, as the decision goes against his own midfielder, Elisa Zenz. He did bundle into Imoka Papai and knock her off balance. Nico Arnautis is certainly one of the chattier head coaches down on the sidelines. He's always bending the ear of the fourth official, so you'll hear him over the sideline microphones. Right there, he was trying to get the fourth official to accept that his opinion was right, but I don't think she was biting. Oh, Anyomi! A cross put right in that corridor of uncertainty. And Anyomi is right place, right time to double her tally and put Frankfurt back in front and back on course to take a big step towards a third-placed finish. And Frankfurt have been threatening and threatening. The pass from Dawson out wide was delightful, but look at this ball from Lursen. Anyomi could not have dreamt it up any better. Puts in the perfect position. It needed a deft finish and it got it. Anyomi now chasing a hat-trick. And now 2 goals shy of the top of the goal-scoring charts in the Frauen Bundesliga. I think she'll be the first to admit, though, that that goal was all about the quality of cross from Nina Lursen. Oh, that ball is not on the line, is it? From Nastasia line. Technically, its shadow would be. Corner goes long. Doesn't fall kindly for a Nuremberg player. Danger looms large, but Lords Romero does well to snuff it out. Romero still off her line, hence the cries from the sidelines for a shot from the Frankfurt ranks. They've worked it well here with reason. Another cross headed clear by Mai. Now is Zenz. Underlining the development that she's undergone with Nico Arnautis in recent seasons. Becoming a firm fixture for both club and country, and she is putting her goal-scoring prowess on display tonight to show why. She has the faith of both Arnautis and Christian Wuck. Frankfurt did get pegged back by Nuremberg, but dominant across the board here on home soil, as you would expect them to be. Line. Sensed opportunity, but couldn't burst into the space. The ball breaks for Gutenberger, though, and she goes for the drive from distance that's not far wide. Caught in the aftermath of it all, the Nuremberg captain. It's fair to say that neither side have been pulling out of the challenges whatsoever. It's been very intense, very aggressive from both. Frankfurt had Elisa Zenz already down on the pitch after this clash with Papai. Zenz stopped playing, but Papai didn't. Still, you can hear Nico Arnautis talking on the sidelines, basically saying, if I plead my case, then I'm just going to get a yellow card. But he feels there's a case to be pled here, that a lot of niggly fouls are being given, and it doesn't have to be that way. The referee can let the game establish a rhythm, which it has struggled to do, and there is no doubt that Levke Scholz has played a part in that. Sounded like there's going to be 3 minutes of time added on at the end of the first half, as Dawson's picked up the ball inside the centre circle. Greve, one one of the women who's really running the game for Frankfurt tonight, though you wouldn't know it because her name's not on the score sheet or anything like that. Came close with that wonderful effort that hit the underside of the bar, but didn't creep the right side of the goal line. Nastasia Line was the hat-trick heroine when these sides met earlier this season in the 5-3 win for Nuremberg. And that was a game in which they never trailed. Tonight they have now found themselves on the wrong side of the scoreline twice. And it's not Line chasing a hat-trick, but Anyomi. Riesen. What a season she's had as well. Pia-Sophie Volter was the undisputed first choice at right back in the previous campaign, but Riesen clearly kicked on during the summer to win the faith of Nico Arnautis. And now the roles reversed. Poor clearance, Mehmeti. Lursen. Big deflection on the cross, just took the pace off it there. Now Anyomi. 3 white shirts for company, but Anyomi's done really well and then is hauled to ground unceremoniously. Easy booking dished out there by Levke Scholz. Dished out to Mele Seguin. Nico Arnautis clearly wants Nina Lursen to either take her or wants her somewhere else to pose a threat. Either way, she's left it to Eroleta Mehmeti. It's got to be a delicate delivery. Well, she went for pace, went low. This time she goes for the delicate one. Touched off to Dawson. Needed a touch to set herself. And that touch allowed Nuremberg to pick the pocket. Papai knocks the ball off of Dawson for a throw-in. Papai, who was signed from Werder Bremen in the winter break. 2 goals in 6 previous appearances before tonight for Nuremberg. 1 against Leipzig, 1 against Jena. And a key part played in the goals scored by Der Club. That did restore parity, but not for as long as they would have wanted it to. Well, plenty of goals in the first half, but it's the 2 scored by Nicole Anyomi that have Frankfurt in front. They had the blip when Merit Gunster leveled the scores, but Nicole Anyomi closing in on her personal best single-season goal-scoring record has Frankfurt in front at the break on a night they can take another big step towards securing a 3rd-place finish. At half-time, it is Frankfurt 2, Nuremberg 1.
Doppelpack, Nicole Anyomi, das bedeutet mit einer 2:1 Führung für SGE jetzt in die aber vielleicht nochmal als Fernmobile. Früher hat man gesagt, Sommerschlussverkauf. Jetzt heißt das Ganze Sale. Wir haben zum einen Windschutzartikel für euch. Schalen 80er Adler für heute 15 statt 25 Euro. Und wir sind mittendrin im Trikot-Sale. Also mehr als die Hälfte vergünstigt. Die Erwachsenen-Trikots für 45 statt 100 Euro. In der 10. Spielminute Tor für unsere Eintracht. Damit haben wir einen neuen Spielstand. Eintracht Frankfurt. Nürnberg getroffen hat unsere Nummer 9. In der 39. Spielminute Tor für unsere Eintracht. Damit haben wir einen neuen Spielstand. Eintracht Frankfurt. Nürnberg. Und sie
Nur wenn wir zusammen verantworten können.
Hello and welcome everyone back to the Stadion am Brentanobad in the financial capital of Germany in Frankfurt, where Eintracht Frankfurt are playing host to relegation-threatened Nuremberg. At one stage this season, it looked like Nuremberg might have nothing to do with the battle to beat the drop. But form in the second half of the season has sent them into a downward spiral, and while they have shown fight tonight in what is their first game under new interim head coach and former player Isabel Bauer, not enough to take a 1-1 draw in at half-time. They did manage to level the scores through Meret Gunster, but that goal sandwiched between two Nicole Anyomi efforts that have Nico Arnautis' charges in front, and on course to take another big step towards finishing third, and as a result claiming a spot in the UEFA Women's Champions League playoffs next season. Of course, doesn't guarantee a spot in the league phase. That's only spots 1 and 2 in the Frauen Bundesliga, those held by the dominant duopoly of the newly minted champions for a 4th straight season, Bayern München, and Wolfsburg, who Frankfurt did beat last week. But ultimately the damage done earlier in the season in that particular head-to-head, and as a result the She-Wolves should prove uncatchable for the She-Gulls. Graver does well to win the ball back in midfield. She and Zentz have really taken to what has been a scrappy affair at times. From Nuremberg's perspective, the scrappier the better. Their season-defining fixture, Nuremberg, will be next match day on Friday, actually, so playing on Monday night tonight. They're in action again on Friday and win that game against Essen, and their season targets will be hit no matter what else happens with results elsewhere. And that is the nice thing that Nuremberg do have. Despite this drastic dip in form, they do still have fate in their own hands. Corner for Frankfurt. Only the second of the game for the home side. Mehmeti whips it in. Romero punches. Anyomi can't keep the chance alive, but Graver might be able to. Reuteler. Closed down by Line. Turns the ball to Graver. The retreat has been forced by the Nuremberg players. Shifts back to this near side with Mehmeti. Blomqvist is making a good run, but she looks for Anyomi instead. Anyomi wasn't going to be able to go for goal from there. Looked for the layoff that didn't come off. Mehmeti can't keep Frankfurt on the front foot, but Riesen now finds Reuteler. Well, if Nico Arnautis asked his charges to maybe take it up a gear at the start of the second half, they have responded in kind and heeded his half-time team talk, because a little bit more movement, look a little sharper. Yes, the passes are still going astray, but they're trying to play them first time instead of taking an extra few touches and allowing Nuremberg to set themselves, and that might be the message. And of course that's going to create a few more misplaced passes, but if one finds its mark and catches Nuremberg flat-footed because Frankfurt have moved the ball a little bit quicker than they were accustomed to in the first half, then the game plan pays off. The 3 points tonight would move Frankfurt to within 4 of Wolfsburg once again. It would move them 5 clear of Leverkusen. And assuming Hoffenheim don't beat Bayern München on Wednesday, which I guess is not a foregone conclusion after Bayern's exploits in Barcelona, taxing encounter both physically and emotionally. Will they have their heads in the game on Wednesday the way they normally would? They have already wrapped up the Frauen-Bundesliga title. They haven't made it to the Champions League final, but they do have the DFB-Pokal, der Frauen final in 10 days' time on the 14th of May. Mehmeti clipping it into the penalty area. Nuremberg defend well, but the ball straight back into the Frankfurt ranks. They can recycle, reset, and re-establish the pressure as Anyomi unable to get on the end of that one. Mirka Papai was the danger woman for Nuremberg in the first half, set up the equaliser. Someone that does her best work between the lines, and if opposition defences don't keep a close eye on her, then damage can be dealt by the Hungarian. Right now, Nastasia Line is doing a lot of hard running out wide on the left wing, but she's not really able to affect play the way we know she can when she's forced into those wide positions. And now, having won the ball, Frankfurt on the march. Mehmeti, Blomqvist, Anyomi in the box. Mehmeti finds space for Reuteler out wide, shapes up for the cross. Back to Greve instead. Greve goes for goal. Not as eye-catching as her effort from the first half, which hit the underside of the bar and didn't cross the line. That one, nowhere close. Frankfurt have struck the bar twice. The first through Greve. Blomqvist. Again, the pass from Mehmeti at an awkward height didn't make life easy for her teammate. Anyomi having a lot of joy in terms of the hold-up play. We really are seeing performance from Anyomi that once again shows off all her qualities, ticks a lot of the boxes that Nico Arnautis wants from his lone striker as well. Mehmeti. She poses such a problem, no matter whether she's trying to do the work out wide or flitting into more central positions herself. Papai knew the threat level and a big chunk of the shirt grabbed. I mean, if she wants to swap shirts, she has to wait until after the game. Changes at the ready. If I heard on the sideline microphones correctly there, it's Franziska Mai that's going to be making way for Nuremberg, and it's going to be Fanny Pronier coming on. For now, the free kick comes to nothing for Frankfurt. Another opportunity they do not make the most of. Nico Arnautis will be pleased with how proactive and positive they've been at the start of this second half, but he'll be the first to point out that there's been a distinct lack of end product to go along with it. Lursen down the line to Mehmeti. Mehmeti has Seguin backpedaling. Seguin got a block on the half cross, half shot the Kosovan produced. Papai does really well again. Oh, brilliant from Emuka Papai. As she did for the opening goal, her dribbling taking 3 or 4 Frankfurt players out of the game momentarily, and it's allowed Nuremberg to build with Polak. Looking for line down the line, but now the pass made life very easy for Zara Dawson, though. Vali has a bit of a long throw on her, and as a result, Frankfurt are a touch concerned. Throws it right into a dangerous area, Vali, and it comes to Papai. Ah, maybe a slipper she struck. Cost her the chance to really connect with that cleanly. And that's one of the players that Nuremberg and Isabel Bauer would have wanted the ball to fall to. Now we are going to have that change I mooted earlier. Franziska Mai comes off to be replaced by Fanny Pronier. Not an easy game to be thrust into before the hour mark here. Just 10 minutes played in the second half. Frankfurt pushing for a third goal that would probably put this game out of reach, but the longer it stays 2-1, the more Nuremberg will believe that, like they did with the equaliser in the first half, that they might be able to find a lucky punch for another equaliser in the second. The onus is firmly on Frankfurt to make sure that's not even a realistic possibility for the visitors. The relegation-threatened side, a team with just 1 win in the last 12 league outings. Still living off of the 15 points they picked up in the first half of the season, still living off of that club record unbeaten run that they produced when they went 4 games unbeaten for the first time in Frauen-Bundesliga history. Anyomi again looking to turn provider. Again sees her cross cut out. She can provide, but she certainly does her best work when it comes to finishing the chances. Nicole Anyomi. Again, still 1 shy of her single-season personal best, so if she gets the hat-trick today, then she's got 2 games to set another best mark for herself in the Frauen-Bundesliga. It's only the second time this season she scored more than 1 goal in a single game. The other was a 4-1 win against her former team, SGS Essen. Right now she's getting a talking to from Levka Schultz as her and Fanny Pronier have a little chuckle between themselves. Corner is dangerous, and in the end the tangling is all a little bit too much. Every corner turns the penalty box into a real battlefield nowadays, not just in the men's game, but the women's one as well. Everyone's taking a march from each other in that regard. It makes life very difficult for the goalkeepers, but in the same regard, it makes life very difficult for the referees just to keep an eye on all of the jostling, all of the tangling, all of the pulling, all of the wrestling, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot going on when corners are being taken nowadays. Oh, that's loose, and Lina Altenburg spilled the ball. I thought momentum was going to work against her in the end. The young keeper gets away with it. Dawson's header didn't make life easy for her, and she didn't make life easy for herself either, in all honesty. Blomqvist has been a willing runner all evening, but truth be told, Frankfurt's service to the Swede has been a letdown. Has made her do a lot of running for nothing in the end. Dawson. Oh, nice cheeky reverse pass to Greve. Greve sweeps it out wide. Lursen isn't going to get there. He busted a gut to try. Valiant effort. Stay concentrated in the passing game, says Nico Arnautis. An indication of the fact that he might have asked his side to be significantly sharper on the ball than they were in the first half. That's a better ball to Blomqvist, but she still can't get on the end of it. This time, the angle of the pass worked against her. It was all a touch too vertical. Fanny Pronier getting a little too handsy there with Lisanne Greve. You keep hearing the Frankfurt bench, you might catch it using the word ohne a lot. And that means without. That's a one-word translation. What they're talking about is ohne foul. And they want their side to apply pressure, win the ball back, force mistakes without fouling the Nuremberg players. And obviously it's been a topic of discussion in the Frankfurt ranks because we're hearing it come from the dugout a lot. Oh, long ball, awkward for Lursen. That looked like she got a big touch off the hand, even if it was down by her side. Other referees might have been inclined to act there. Levke Scholz was not. Oh, Greve. Almost a glorious touch off her chest there, but in the end she was crowded out. Anastasia Line, first time she's had space to work with, and Line! Cut in field, had the chance, and Nuremberg's hat-trick heroine from the reverse fixture really should have been levelling the scores here, because she sold Illerstedt with the dummy, and the little juke inside, and it opens up, and then she gets the shot all wrong. And that, if I'm not mistaken, is her first real sight of goal, Nastasia Line. And that was the point I was making about her being forced to drift out wide, given the way Nuremberg are approaching this game, because as a result, that is her first shot. And you never know, maybe if it was her second or third, she might have found her groove, found her range, and been at the very least able to hit the target there. But now she's going to get another chance. But this time, Illerstedt, excuse me, Nina Lursen covers well. And now you can hear a little bit of angst in the voice of Nico Arnautis, because all of a sudden, Frankfurt have been so strong in this second half, and Nuremberg growing into it now. lofted in, attacked. Altenburg under pressure from the goalscorer Günster, who had every right to challenge for the ball, but Altenburg acquits herself well. She has been one of the more impressive pieces of this Frankfurt season, Lina Altenburg. I'll hold the thought because Anyomi still cannot pick out a teammate with one of her crossing opportunities. She had to create it all on her own there, Nicole Anyomi, but almost found a way to fashion a third goal for her side. With Nuremberg looking a little stronger in the last couple of minutes, hearing that Nico Arnautis is ready to introduce Laura Freigang to the game. And that'll be a big upgrade in the Frankfurt ranks. Missed out last week due to illness, back on the bench and ready to make an impact as a super sub. Fanny Pronier, I tell you what, she's only been on the pitch for 10 minutes, and I swear she's been more involved. She's had 3 or 4 different chats with the referee. She's tussling, she's tangling. Corner, oh, this is dangerous, and Leah Varley with a very important header that she had to get right. This is virtually a goal line clearance in the Australian. Anyomi was ready to ghost in at the back post. Now we see Laura Freigang come on for Rebecca Blomqvist. Freigang 4th in the Frauen-Bundesliga all-time goal-scoring charts for Eintracht Frankfurt on 97 goals. Will she break the 100 goal mark before the end of this season as a little cherry on top of the campaign? Another corner dealt with. Dawson a little awkward in trying to keep her side on the front foot. Better there with her head than she was with the thigh. She's very much a no-frills defender, Zara Dawson, and I mean that in a very respectful manner. But again, her departure in the summer was one of the reasons that Frankfurt was so unstable at the back at the beginning of the season. And her return is one of the main reasons they found stability again. But Nuremberg are testing it here, especially with Nastasia Line, as Dawson has to shut the door, with Line threatening again. This is not a comfortable 2-1 lead for Eintracht Frankfurt against an out-of-form Nuremberg side who are not playing like they're out of form. Freigang's first involvement is to chip in defensively with a header clear. Recycled back in. Oh, and Pronier was ready to pounce, and Lursen in the nick of time decided to head behind for a corner. Just a moment there where it looked like Lursen was going to hesitate and let Pronier pip in. Going to be Julia Pollack to take the corner for Nuremberg. Just over 20 minutes of normal time remaining at the Stadion am Brentanoban, and it really does feel like this game has not run its course just yet. Altenburg doesn't get there! Oh, Varley, what a chance! And how many more will Nuremberg get of this quality? Because Altenburg was all at sea, and Varley had to take a stab at it, had to put a foot out and go for the first time effort. But stabs wide. Big let off. And Nico now senses the danger. Levels rising. There is more urgency in his voice, even if we're lacking a bit of urgency in the Frankfurt performance now. Right now, Nuremberg want this more. Pronier. She's made a big impact off the bench, actually. Fanny Pronier coming on for Franziska May. Her battling qualities are certainly coming to the fore as Line peels away from Reason, who wins out, but Line gets it now from Papai. Overlapping run. Line wants to go inside. Line goes a goal. It's in the roof of the net. Oh, Nuremberg. Right now would be good value for an equaliser. But they are a side that do not have the individual quality that Frankfurt have on their books. They are digging deep and giving everything they've got. Nastasia Line, Imoka Papai have both gone closely. Avali with that close-range effort just a moment ago. Nuremberg will be fearing that it's another rerun of the same story they faced a lot this season, where they've had positive performances, they've chipped away, they've created the chances, and then they leave empty-handed, as if they've put in a poor one. But you don't get rewarded at this level. You have to reward yourself. And again, Frankfurt look decidedly more beatable tonight on home soil than they did last time out against Wolfsburg, where they put in one of the performances of the season, in my opinion, because they absolutely made Wolfsburg look ordinary. And of course, there's a very different dynamic to this game. Nuremberg are going to absorb a lot more pressure than Wolfsburg did. They're not going to be as proactive. They're not going to leave as much space for Frankfurt to work with, but nevertheless, if Frankfurt want to establish themselves as a Champions League caliber side, these are the moments where you underline that caliber. Right now, it's Nuremberg winning the majority of the 50-50s. It's Nuremberg carving out the chances, and Frankfurt's grip on the game is weakening. That's a teasing ball from Greve. It had to be cut out because otherwise Freigang was in. Anyomi tried to keep her side in possession, but it's broken for Papai instead. Nuremberg are outnumbered. Papai, such a tricky customer with that technical ability of hers, but now Freigang. Oh, lovely play by Laura Freigang. Wins the ball back, skips past two challenges. Mehmeti's on the run, Anyomi's still prone on the pitch. Mehmeti wants to give it back to Freigang. Cross was a touch long, it's going to come to Reutel instead, and blocked by Vali. Anyomi's still out of the game right now, but Zentz with the strike. And that looked like a handball. That looked like a big handball from Leah Vali. Right now, I was going to say, how much damage did she do to herself here, Anyomi? Indeed, I wondered whether there was contact from Seguin, and there wasn't. It was her attempts to play that cheeky back heel, knocking her own legs together almost, where she might have actually had the ignominy of giving herself a dead leg. She's never scored a hat-trick in the Frauen Bundesliga, Nicole Anyomi. As mentioned, she's had a couple of chances, one early this season. Is another going to pass her by tonight? Always good to see a player walking off of their own volition when there is cause for concern. And in the form of Romina Chiba, a valuable replacement available. We can have a look at the brace scored by Nicole Anyomi. The first, a fine finish. The second, the credit goes to Lursen, but Anyomi still had to put the finishing touches on one of the best crosses we've seen all weekend. And unfortunately, that is going to be the end to her evening. It is funny getting some of the stuff from the sidelines through the microphones, but Nico Arnautis wanted the substitution to be made then and there, and the fourth official had to quite clearly tell him, no, I have to check everything first. It'll be done in the next stoppage, not this one. I think every fourth official has their hands full when they've got Nico Arnautis alongside them, and when there's Arnautis and Roberto Petzold, the Leverkusen head coach, will tell you what, they are in for an earful from both dugouts. And now the substitution can happen. It is going to be a double change for Frankfurt. Romina Chiba is coming on for Nicole Anyomi. Meanwhile, Zara Dorsen makes way for Martina Österstad. And there you go, well wishes sent to Nicole Anyomi via the stadium announcer. Romina Chiba is a household favourite here in Frankfurt, and she did score 2 of the 3 goals that the She-Gulls registered against Nuremberg early this season. Unfortunately, it came in that 5-3 defeat. (2,716 fans in attendance at the Stadion am Brentanobad as Chiba's first touch produces a lovely nutmeg. Riesen waited for more bodies to arrive in the box. Reuteler cross blocked and behind for a corner. It does look like an injury of the dead leg variety, but then I am no medical expert, so take my words with a pinch of salt. Mehmeti, oh, knuckleball cross, dipped dangerously. Chiba cuts out the counter. There's no one there for the cheeky cross that Freigang put into the mix. Now another change for the visitors as Aneta Polashkova, one of the women that dropped out of the starting lineup tonight in Isabel Bauer's first game as interim head coach. She now comes off the bench, the Czechia forward. She has scored 3 goals this season against Freiburg, Union Berlin and Carl Zeiss Jena. She joined the club from Sparta Prague in the summer, said that she believes that she and the club can achieve a lot together. And while they are not out of the woods just yet, make no mistake about it, surviving this season would be a huge win for Nuremberg and a huge piece of success that they could point to, because their last and only 2 top-flight seasons both ended in relegation. The first was back in the 1999-2000 season. No, excuse me, 1 season back, the 98-99 campaign. That was their first ever Frauen-Bundesliga promotion. They finished 18th, 2 wins, 3 draws, 17 losses. seizing the chance to actually secure survival for the first time in club history. They needed a win to guarantee their top-flight spot next season. Frankfurt were not going to be so generous, but Papai with the chance to level. Papai! Big save by Altenburg. With the exception of the lack of a goal, Imoka Papai has been brilliant tonight. Nuremberg, they are a side that, even on their best day, know that they won't have as much to work with compared to their opponents. It's very much about making a lot out of a little, and Papai is someone that when it looks like there's nothing on, she somehow manages to create a moment of magic, a little dribbling sequence that opens it up for a shot or a pass like it did for the equaliser in the first half. And on that occasion, that first touch, perfect. Sending herself into space, taking the ball away from Ersenstad. And in the end, she stings the palms of Altenburg, but nothing more. Got to be honest, I've watched a couple of Imoka Papai's performances now for Nuremberg in the second half of the season, and it has made me wonder why Werder Bremen let her go. I look at the match statistics, and it would suggest that Frankfurt are still good value for their narrow 2-1 lead, which they are. But they are living dangerously, and they have left the door open right now for Nuremberg to spring a surprise if they can find a finish. And that is a big if. Seguin didn't get the ball, but she definitely took out Mehmeti. Mehmeti's free kick was too low. Zentz clattered the ball into Nastasia line. You never know, that could have bounced anywhere, and it might have been to Nuremberg's favour. Here is Nastasia Line, who now has the captain's armband, trying to combine with the danger woman, Imoka Papai. Here the travelling supporters making themselves heard. FCN. FC Nuremberg. And they get the 1 at the beginning of their club name because they were the first football club in the city of Nuremberg. So if you see any German clubs that have Erste at the beginning of their name, it means that they were the first club from their respective city. Erste FC Nuremberg, Erste FC Köln. Plenty of examples. Erste FC Union Berlin. Chiba couldn't weave her way through. Got clipped by Varley afterwards. Piercing pass to Cronier, but she can't make anything of it. Has a little nibble there at Mehmeti, and another. I tell you what, she really does flirt with the line of what a referee will allow, but you've kind of got to appreciate that tenacity from Fanny Pronier to come on and inject that little bit of nasty, it's not nastiness, but you know what I mean, into the Nuremberg game. Freigang on the overlap. Laura Freigang. Good block by Seguin. Mehmeti first to the loose ball. Out wide to Greve. Reuteler in support. Mehmeti with the run inside. Back to Reuteler it goes. Now Nuremberg collapsing their lines. Now the chance for Frankfurt to get that third goal and just breathe a little easier for the final few minutes here on home soil. Given away, but won back quickly by Greve. That has been a key part of her role tonight, is the quick turnovers. Making sure that Frankfurt's ball recovery time is very efficient. She was doing well there against Gunster, but the free kick has been taken quickly here by Nuremberg. It's red is the shout from the sidelines after Varley takes down Freigang. Freigang had the freedom of the Stadion am Brentanabad, and the Frankfurt ranks cannot believe that this hasn't been a straight red for what we call here in Germany a Notbremse, a handbrake, because Freigang is through on goal and Varley absolutely takes her out at the knee. I think Varley knows it as well. Look at the cheeky grin there, having a little chat with Laura Freigang as if to say, yep, I got lucky. And of course, we don't have the benefit of replays and sideline monitors. We again get a look at Nia Kunze and Katharina Kiel. Nia Kunze, she is the manager for the women's national team, or the sporting director, I guess, for the women's national team is probably the better, more formal title for her. And as mentioned, Katharina Kiel is now the new president of what looks to be the breakaway Frauen-Bundesliga endeavour. Illerstedt, lovely header down. Ostenstadt has her effort saved by Lourdes Romero, though she did spill the ball, the Nuremberg goalkeeper, so there was a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment, wondering where it might end. Slightly unsighted by her own player, Aneta Polashkova there. And that'll be the end of... Oh no, I thought Mehmeti was making her way off for a substitution. Not the case, just wanted a high five as she retook her position on the left wing. He's so involved in the game, isn't he, Nico Arnautis? To some degree, you don't even need me on the microphone. You could just mic him up and he'd give you a running commentary, although it'd be a rather biased one, admittedly. I like to think I'm better at being a little more neutral than some of those on the sidelines of the Frauen-Bundesliga matches. I can't tell you, I had a very biased view of the game in the Women's Champions League last night between Bayern and Barcelona, where would have loved Bayern to cause the upset, and they showed the bravery and almost did it. Now Freigang round the corner. Oh, that was not the right choice from Laura Freigang. And the cross that comes in, Chiba was never getting to. But I'm sure I wasn't the only Frauen-Bundesliga fan that was off his or her or their seat when Ariana Caruso produced that stunning effort from range that Katakol touched onto the bar, or even when Bayern thought they had made it 4-3 on the night. Oh, Freigang! Freigang with the lob! And Frankfurt have put the game beyond Nuremberg's reach late on, courtesy of the super sub Laura Freigang. Nuremberg had been pushing for an equaliser. They'd been carving out the chances, but they've left themselves exposed. And Freigang with the ingenuity to lift the ball over Lords Romero. Frankfurt have breathing room for the dying embers of this game, but Nuremberg really did give as good as they've got. For Nico Arnautis and company, it is the step he called for as they look to secure European qualification once again. They've got a taste of continental competition, whether it was the Champions League 2 seasons ago, whether it was the Europa Cup this season. And right now, barring an almighty downturn in form, Frankfurt will be on the continent again next season. It's just in which competition, as Chiba wants to add to the 2 goals that she scored in the reverse fixture. And this is where Frankfurt will come on strong, because understandably Nuremberg heads will drop a little bit, because they were exerting all the energy to try and find an equaliser, and when it doesn't get produced and then you get pegged back yourself at the other end, never a pleasant feeling. We did have a double change for Nuremberg in the aftermath of that Laura Freigang goal. Sanja Hohlmann came off and Susanna Grzywinska came on. Meanwhile, there's a triple change for Frankfurt for the closing exchanges. Frankfurt happy to take a few more seconds off the clock here on home soil. Their penultimate home game of the season. They close the season at the Stadion am Brenntannabad against Union Berlin. Dangerous delivery, and still they scrap away in the box. Orstenstad pokes it back to Rasso, who rifles wide. Good effort though from the Australian. Noemi Velge avoids the press, finds Riesen, who finds Rasso. Chiba and Freigang are in the middle. Rasso goes alone, but it's turned home. It is a 4 for Frankfurt. It feels a touch cruel on Nuremberg. But Rasso coming off the bench with real hunger. She might not get credited with this goal. Pollack overcommitted. And I think the final touch may well have been off a Nuremberg player. Either way, it rounds off what feels in the end like a comfortable victory for Frankfurt, but for a long period of this game, it was far from comfortable. Nico Arnautis and co do take another big step towards finishing third this season. They've got a 5-point lead on Leverkusen. Hoffenheim could cut it to 4 if they beat Bayern in Munich on Wednesday, but that is a big if. Nevertheless, Frankfurt, ahead of their own trip to Munich on match day 25, have given themselves the platform to finish third for what would be a 5th straight season in the Frauen Bundesliga. Anyomi with a brace in the first half.